It was a Friday morning. Ghost of Yotei had just come out, and like everyone, I was beyond excited to play this game. I had 3 days ahead of me. I planned to sit down and finish the 25-hour main story of this game. Skip to Sunday night, I have 23 hours of playtime in Ghost of Yotei, and I had only eliminated 2 out of the 6 main bosses in this game. I wasn't even halfway through the story. For reference, when I played Ghost of Tsushima, I was able to finish the whole main story with a good deal of side content in 21 hours. I couldn't help but wonder where the weekend had vanished. Every time I sat down to play this game, I would start chasing out a main quest, get distracted, and end up climbing a snowy mountain for 25 minutes just to find the most awe inspiring view of this beautiful world. And it kept happening over and over and over again. The more I played this game, the more details I started to notice. The way the flowers created paths, birds and wolves leading me to bamboo strikes, hot springs, and enemy camps. The environment led me, and I followed. Sitting here on a Sunday night, having spent more time in this game's photo mode than I did hunting the Yotei Six, I got curious. So I started looking out for these details. The more I observed, the more I learned how this world is far more than just a backdrop for Atsu's revenge. The design of Yotei's world isn't just smart design, it's strategic, and there's a term for it. This is something game designers call the pull narrative. Well, there are two types of this. First is the push narrative. Push narratives are when details of a narrative are pushed onto the player, almost served up front on a platter, like a character walking up to the player and saying things, or even points of interest directly marked on the map. Details are given to the player for the player to then go and check it out. And then there is the pull narrative, when details of a narrative are left embedded into the environmental cues, like a bird guiding Atsu to a point of interest, or a wolf guiding her to a den, or the wind guiding Atsu to a hot spring. But the thing is, I could have totally walked past these and not stopped for any of them. I could ignore these cues and continue hunting the Yotei Six and get my revenge. As a result, I would miss out on an important charm or a health perk, rewards for me if I had chosen to follow the bird. While some games would directly mark these points of interest on the map so I don't miss it, Yotei isn't afraid to just let me miss it, and that is the beauty of this. It has to be possible to miss some things to make finding them meaningful. Yotei's world didn't just guide me, it also felt like it watched me, reacting to my actions and judging my journey as I went on it. The weather will turn dark and stormy if I killed enemies from the dark. The weather will turn bright and clear if I took on a duel straight on, honorably. This use of environment is more than just a backdrop, but as a character that helps the narrative is truly one of the best parts of Ghost of Yotei. It added drama, contrast, and intensity to my gaming experience. And this is exactly what we call the pathetic fallacy. Well, no, not pathetic as in its negative connotation. The word pathetic here comes from the word pathos, meaning emotion, and fallacy, meaning falseness. In essence, meaning false emotions, or in the context of media and art, the projection of false emotions. I like to think of this as an evolution of environmental storytelling. Pathetic fallacy is the attribution of human emotions to inanimate objects like nature or animals. It is a figure of speech that is used in a non-literal way to produce a specific effect. The pathetic fallacy occurs when inanimate objects like natural elements are treated as if they are able to experience feelings. Like you can say, the sun is smiling down on me. But unless you're in the Teletubbies, the sun cannot smile. The sky cannot be angry, rain cannot be sad, so on and so forth. Now we all know the conventional interpretations of certain natural elements, like rain is often sadness, smoke or fog is used to shroud mystery, and storms are used to show conflict. But these are just the basics. Movies and video games take this fallacy to a whole new level. Let's think about Red Dead Redemption 2. The story of this game takes place in the conflict between a dying era of the Wild West and the unstoppable forces of industrialization. And this conflict is written directly into the environment of the game, like the unspoiled beauty of the wild open grasslands in stark visual contrast to the bleak, smoky city of Saint Denis. In a way, the city's claustrophobic, polluted, and greedy nature is the antithesis to Arthur's way of life, which is to roam free and live free. One of possibly my favorite examples of this, however, is Death Stranding. It elevates all definitions of environmental storytelling by having the environment be a character of the story. The gameplay loop is simple. Sam Bridges, the protagonist, needs to pick up packages and deliver them to another part of the world in order to reconnect America. It's simple traversal until you realize that the challenge for Sam and the player is the terrain and environment itself. Sam must overcome every obstacle this terrain presents and reach his destination while avoiding the timefall. While Sam is the protagonist, the environment itself is the antagonist. And movies do this too. Using smoke in Blade Runner is both a sign of ecological collapse and the protagonist's internal lack of clarity, or Shawshank Redemption using rain for expression of freedom. All of these take environmental storytelling and push it one step further. If you take environmental storytelling and dig long enough, which I did, eventually you will reach Akira Kurosawa. He was a Japanese filmmaker whose work largely revolved around samurai history. One of the most notable elements of his work was his use of movement using weather and the environment. Using movements of wind, water, fire, and smoke to give the audience another layer of visuals that they can relate to sensually. It's no surprise that Kurosawa's work was a big inspiration for Sucker Punch when they were designing the world of Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yotei. In fact, Sucker Punch's design philosophy revolved around making a world that feels less like a photorealistic simulation and more like a living painting. The developers even prioritized capturing emotion and beauty in the scene over strict realism, drawing heavy inspiration from the samurai history of Akira Kurosawa. This is specifically seen in Yotei's use of weather elements like rain, wind, and even particle effects. Leaves will surround Atsu as she fights, the wind will guide her, the flowers will carry her faster, and the animals will lead her. But how does Ghost of Yotei feel more immersive by doing this? I mean, it's not just the fact that storms show up and the weather reacts. All of that is very, very impressive. But it's also the fact that it ebbs and flows. It gets as bright and vivid as it does dark and mute. And I also felt my own playstyle and priorities change as the weather did. I found myself defeating a boss in a dramatic, painful duel, which is the ebb, and then moving on to searching for a hot spring and getting lost in the world, the flow. All this makes Atsu feel one with the world. Amidst all the conflict in Ezo, the game still managed to preserve the beauty of this land, and in a way, this felt like a reflection of Atsu's perspective, where she still treasures her homeland. And as a result of all this, it just emphasizes the trauma that she's been through and helped me understand her need for revenge. And now, this all makes sense. Now, it makes sense why I was so willing to let myself get carried away in this game. It explains the layered nature of Atsu's character, her world, and it all directly ties into the gameplay. Ghost of Yotei's greatest achievement is its world. A living painting that isn't just beautiful to look at, but it's actively looking back at you. In an era of games that feel like checklists, Ghost of Yotei trusts its players to get lost. It understands that a path that you discover on your own is infinitely more rewarding than one marked on a map.